Hey everyone, I'm Nicholas Frank, Arts and Culture Reporter for the San Antonio Report. Thanks for joining us today on this fourth day of CityFest, headed toward our happy hour. And we're pleased today to present Dreambored, which is a San Antonio duo of married couple Angela Garrett-Wally and Mark Lee Wally. Let's bring in Angela for a brief chat. Hey Angela.
Hey, Nick, how's it going?
Good. Thanks for being here. We're really pleased to listen to your music and watch you guys and present it to our audience.
Well, I'm glad to be here. Thank you for having us be part of it.
So you've described Dreamboard as dream pop, and I'm curious: does that mean we're supposed to listen to it under our pillow while we sleep?
Yeah, no, it's really perfect for that. Actually, so dream pop is kind of just a genre of pop music that's usually characterized by having like a lot of reverb. You can call it also kind of in similar to like a shoegaze style. But our sound kind of varies. The album that we're working on right now has a large variety of kind of genre within that kind of umbrella of pop music. But I think we most identify with that. So that's just an easy way for people to kind of have an understanding of what our style is like.
Right. And are you the primary songwriter, or do you and Mark work together on these songs?
Well, I started out as the primary songwriter. Dreamboard was a kind of an idea for a project I'd had for a little while. I'd switched over to songwriting maybe about 4 years ago. I was originally a bass player and grew up playing music with Mark as a bass player and backup singer. And then I picked up an acoustic guitar and started writing songs. And slowly, over like maybe a year and a half, I developed, a handful of songs. And I would start to go to like songwriters' nights and play them. And as I got more confident in my songwriting, I started bringing songs to Mark to like produce. And the sound that we found was this sound that we call Dreamboard. And so for the past couple years, we've been performing together, and he's really started contributing songs. But I really see him as the person in the band that like has the ability to really transform like my singer-songwriter songs into like really more cinematic or more like lively songs that we are really excited to play live and miss playing live actually.
Right. We'll get to that in a moment. Mark and you and Mark are videographers. You also work collaboratively in that project and very busily. Anyone who's interested in the arts in this region has no doubt seen your work. And Mark couldn't join us today. Maybe you can tell us what he's working on.
Right now, we're working on a couple different things. We're working on a documentary film for the Monarch Butterfly and Pollinator Festival that's happening this month of October. Our film will be premiered on the 29th, and it really covers the migration of the monarch from Mexico all the way up north to Canada and back down. You're going to start seeing monarchs coming through your yards and all through the city. They funnel down through San Antonio and roost in Mexico. And the documentary really ties together the importance of protecting our environment, of climate change, everything that's kind of been happening this year, and how the shutdown has really helped us focus on the importance of our environment and the importance of everything going on around us. And so that's a big project we're working on. And he's also recording our album, which we're going to be releasing in a couple weeks. So he's doing some finalizations on that.
Right. And let's talk a little bit about the pandemic. You guys were appearing live often throughout the city in different venues, and now those venues have been shuttered for months, and you have been essentially locked inside your homes. Of course, not totally, but can you just tell us how you've adjusted to not being able to play in front of live audiences for so long?
Well, we really took the opportunity to focus on recording. I think Mark and I tend to be really ambitious in whatever it is that we do, and I think that's always been something that we have a lot of pride in how ambitious we can be, but also we have to be realistic sometimes with the time that it takes to work on a project. And this album in particular was a lot more time than we really had given ourselves. I think we originally had thought we were going to release it in May. and even with the shutdown, with everything stopping, that was a completely unrealistic kind of deadline that we had given ourselves, which was kind of against the whole reason I formed this project, was that we didn't want to put any deadlines on ourselves or any big expectations on ourselves. We wanted to let it grow really naturally and something that we could really enjoy. So that's been a big part of the shutdown for us, is just focusing on music. And we still have gotten to do some kind of live performances. For my birthday, we did a few songs kind of live from home and decorated, as you'll see or have seen. That was for my birthday, and we couldn't have a big party like we normally would, so we just thought, why don't we decorate the whole house and play a show that we could share online.
Right, right. And that was really fun and a way to connect to an audience through all this, distancing technology. But yet you, as video makers, you're comfortable in that format. Can you talk a little bit about how your work in video has informed your approach to Dreamboard?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's always been a cinematic approach to the songs in terms of how Mark has produced them. I think that's mostly because that's kind of the sound world that he enjoys or has found himself in, recording soundtracks. He did the entire soundtrack for our debut feature film, following the artist Chuck Ramirez. And so I feel like he had really, he's really kind of built a sound library for himself. And so I feel like Dreamboard is kind of pushing all of those sounds, like cinematic soundtrack sounds, into something that's more like pop and accessible, or like kind of dancier. I'll give him a song, I'm like, I want this to be kind of dancey. This is kind of, maybe a song I've written is coming from a sad place, and I want it to I want the music to really transform it from something that to me could sound like a sad singer-songwriter song, but now is like something we can, have a lot of energy and excitement in playing. So I think that's, to me, I think the big difference with playing music for a live audience is like that energy. But I think we'll get that back. I mean, you mentioned the shutdown and not being able to play at venues, and there are some venues that are starting to open, and some spaces that I think we could play in. But I think it's actually been really nice just to kind of pull back and focus on creating for a little while.
Right, and recording is a very intensive process and demands a lot of time and attention and energy and creative energy. Have you been able to, or it can also sometimes inspire new material. Have you been able to continue your songwriting practice while recording and preparing to release this album?
A little bit. I feel like I feel like a lot of what I experienced in the last year or so, the last year and a half, really, I had written so much about everything that I had gone through prior to the shutdown. Prior to, this year, I had lost my father at the end of 2018, and that had really influenced my songwriting and was a really a tool for me, honestly, to cope, to grieve. And this album is really a reflection of like the whole grieving process, from like learning that you're going to lose someone, to like actually losing them, to like like having this like huge void in your life, and then to actually coming around and feeling like resolved about it, and like finding hope and love again. And so I feel like I had gone through like this whole process already before this, that now, I mean, I not that I don't have anything to write about, but I'm like kind of, it healed me in a way, and maybe I can only write songs about heartache. We'll see. But I feel like I'm in just such a different place that songwriting isn't something that I'm going to as that anymore. It's like now I'm thinking about music videos. I'm thinking about like other creative outlets to come from all of that, to like continue to make it something that I can honor. I can honor his life and what I went through.
Right. So your song "Never Far From You" is not just about being stuck in the house with Mark all the time.
Yeah, that's a good interpretation of it, you know. No, and it's funny. I mean, I feel like we've gotten that question a little bit. You know, it's just kind of like oh, you must be like tired of hanging out. But I'm like, we've been together for 17 years. I think we can handle 7 months. Like, it's not a like we're really used to being together, collaborating. It's actually been really nice, you know, for the most part, to just focus on the things that we're really excited about.
So 17 years, I think married 10, right? If
Yeah,
I'm correct.
yeah.
And I'm really curious, maybe others are too, about, you know, being a couple, um, sharing so much of your lives together. Is it a limitation on what you're able to write about in your songs? Because maybe there are, I wouldn't call it exactly secrets, but maybe there are areas of your life like that you can't really broach in that sort of public format in
Um,
songwriting.
I mean, I think, you know, typically for my songwriting, I can kind of pull from everything. I pull from stories that my friends have told me,
Mm.
stories that my family have gone through, losing my father. For the most part, if I feel like I'm ever writing about Mark and I's relationship, particularly on this album, it is as like this like beacon of hope, you know,
Mm.
around everything else that I was going through. So, like Never Far From You, you mentioned, there's, you know, the lyrics in that are very much about me being in a really, really dark place, and him being there for me. And so I feel like that's a very intimate, kind of vulnerable, like, part of your life to share. And so, but I don't really feel like anything is too personal in that kind of way. I mean, I think that the more personal it is, the more universal it is. You know, everyone's been in a dark place, and everyone's needed someone in their life to help them. And so I feel like, you know, I'm hoping that by sharing, you know, those difficult parts of my life, and sharing that like I've gotten through, and
Yeah.
that I can still hold on to all that love is an encouraging thing, hopefully.
Oh, that's wonderful. I think this is a good time to release an album of that kind of content and to access those emotions, for people who may or may not have been going through some difficult times over the past few months. And I think you said that the release date is in a week,
It's on October 16th. So yeah, a couple
October
weeks.
6th. So can you, tell us when and where and how we'll be able to access your new record? And tell us a little bit about it, the title and how many
Yeah.
songs.
So it's called Loved Ones, and I believe it's 10 songs right now. It's about, yeah, it's 10, believe it's 10 songs. We're kind of finalizing it in, you know, in this last week or so. But we're thinking right now, actually, and this is kind of something we haven't released yet or talked about yet, but we're thinking of releasing it on Bandcamp first, and doing kind of a soft release on the 16th. One, because Bandcamp actually really pays its artists, and we want to kind of support that community that we've seen through this time, support artists and support organizations that are doing really important work. So that'll be the first place that'll be available, and will be on our Bandcamp. And then at the end of the month, we'll release it digitally, so it'll be on all platforms, like on Spotify and everywhere else you listen to music.
Mhm. Wonderful. And will you be releasing videos? You have a YouTube channel, correct?
We do, and so that's where we have some of our live performances, any kind of like performances we do. Like we did a performance on Texas Public Radio many years ago, like when we first got our start, and we were just on another radio program. So we'll try to also share any other performances on our YouTube page as well.
Hmm. And so if people are looking for a teaser, there's already a couple of songs that will be on the record that you've released as videos, right?
Yeah, I mean, so there's live performances of some of the songs. We also have 3 singles out already. So we have 3 songs that are from the album that are on all the digital platforms. So you can kind of find our music anywhere you normally listen to music.
Great. Well, I can't tell you how much we appreciate you joining us for CityFest and giving our audience a chance to see and hear your music. And we wish you the best.
Thank you, Nicholas. It was great chatting with you.